Today I'm out here in New York taking a look at the new 2023 Nissan Z. You'll notice there's no number in front of the Z, and that's because Nissan has decided to just go full on the Z heritage. This all started way back in the 1970s with the very original Z, and they say that that has continued to inspire the Z line from that point on. We have the distinctive very long hood up front, even though we have a V6 engine under the hood like we found in the last generation Z. Dimensionally, this is about the same size as the outgoing 370Z. It's a two-door vehicle. You'll notice that we have a hardtop up top. There's no talk about a roadster just yet, but you can bet it's probably going to happen at some point in the future. This is a two-seat vehicle exclusively, so this definitely competes with the Toyota Supra. But unlike the Supra, this one was designed completely in-house by Nissan. This is not a collaboration with another manufacturer. Now, as always, there are pros and cons to that. Obviously, the pro is that this is all Nissan, 100%. We have a Nissan twin-turbo engine under the hood, a 9-speed automatic transmission, basically a sportier version of the one that we find in the Nissan Titan, and definitely distinctive Nissan styling up back. They say that this was meant to mimic the 300Z. But on the other hand, this is not quite as modern as some of the competition, because a lot of the structure of this vehicle is related to the older 370Z. That's not necessarily a problem, because absolutely nothing was wrong with the structure of that model. Now, under the hood, we have a new 3-liter twin-turbo 6-cylinder engine. This produces 400 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. It's going to be mated to either a 6-speed manual transmission, yes, you heard that right, manual transmission will still be offered, or a 9-speed automatic transmission, the first ever time we've seen that in the Z product line. This engine should be a little bit familiar to you because this is basically the red sport engine from Infiniti that we find in the Q50 and Q60 with a few tweaks here and there. They do say that this will build power a little bit more gracefully than the Q60 and Q50's engine because of some tweaks to the turbocharging setup. Now, obviously at the moment I don't have 0 to 60 times, any performance data, or any kind of fuel economy estimates for this vehicle, but I would suspect if you look closely at the Infiniti Q60, you can bet that this is going to be pretty similar in terms of performance as well as fuel economy. Now, this is lighter and it is also smaller than the Q60 because the Q60 has a back seat and this does not. Full LED headlights up front with this very distinctive look, and definitely a lot of egg crating going on right here in the front. The interior definitely has a very distinctive look, although there are a few parts that are shared with the previous generation Z. This interior definitely has a very dramatic flair. I really love these blue seats in here. This is a combination of leather and Alcantara right there. It sort of looks like a Smurf blew up in here, but I don't say that in a mean way. This is actually the color combination that I would buy. And I wish that the very, very yellow new Z that's right next to this actually had as much yellow on the inside as this blue car has blue. We have some analog gauges right up there. Basically the same 8-inch or 9-inch touchscreen infotainment systems that we find in a variety of different new Nissan products there. Climate controls down there, manual transmission right over here, heated seat switches over here, big cup holder there, and another cup holder right there under that center armrest. The big change for the interior, though, happens right over here on the driver's side where we find a full LCD instrument cluster. This display is running the same basic software that we find in the Nissan Rogue and, of course, the Nissan Pathfinder as well, but with some different views specifically for this Z right here. We also have the distinctive Z steering wheel out here with some new touch buttons on the side. Basically the same sort of switchgear that we found in the last generation model, and then again more of that blue over here on the driver's side. I am definitely excited to see what this is going to be like out on the road. You can expect this to be on dealer lots sometime in the spring of calendar year 2022. This is going to be a 2023 model year vehicle. Now, Nissan has not announced pricing at all for this new Z, but I expect it's probably going to start right around $40,000 or so. But again, Nissan has not said anything. This is going to be a very direct competitor to vehicles like the Toyota Supra, obviously also an alternative to the Mustang, Camaro, if you're looking for something that's a bit sportier that only seats 2. And that is going to be the big difference between this and some of those pony cars out there from Dodge, from Ford, from Chevy. Those are going to seat 4. This is going to seat just 2. As you probably noticed, it was pretty full and definitely very loud at the venue that Nissan chose for launching the new Z. Let's go over a few questions that a lot of you had over on Facebook, and of course a little bit more detailed information than I could cover when I was in that warehouse with the boots and pants music blaring. The first thing to know is that Nissan is not calling this a 400Z or a 300Z, they're simply calling it the Nissan Z. And that's somewhat logical because the Nissan Z name has been very displacement based over time, the 270Z, the 300Z, the 350Z, the 370Z, etc. And now that they've gone turbocharged, they would go back to 300, and they didn't like the optics of going backwards most logically. And they could have chosen horsepower, but I guess they felt that was a little bit weird as well, since they haven't done that in the past. So instead, they've just gone for Nissan Z. The next thing to know is that, again, the 6-speed manual transmission is standard, the 9-speed automatic is optional, and that's going to be the big difference between this and the Q60. Obviously, we have the size, the extra 2 back seats, and then we have the 9-speed automatic versus the 7-speed automatic in the Infiniti. Then, of course, we have the manual transmission as well. There are going to be 2 different braking setups going on. There's a performance and a non-performance brake setup, because we're going to have 2 different packages. We're going to have essentially a sport package and a performance package in the Z. The 2 vehicles that Nissan brought out for the launch event were both performance package vehicles. That's the upper level model that gets you the 14-inch rotors up front. You also get staggered tires, 255s up front, 275s in the rear, so a little bit wider than we find on the regular Z. You also get some slightly tweaked paddle shifters, some interior trim, different exhaust, and different suspension tuning. One thing that I found interesting that might surprise some of you is that we don't have a completely powered driver's seat in all trims. The 8-way manual driver's seat is standard with a 4-way manual passenger seat according to the spec sheet that I'm looking at right here, and then there is a partial power seat design available as well. So if you're looking for a bit more luxury in your next performance vehicle, you might need to look elsewhere. Instead, Nissan is trying to target performance. Now, unfortunately, the 2 things that we don't know yet about the new Z are how much it weighs, how much it's going to be priced. We do know that it's going to be on sale in calendar year 2022. It's going to be sold as a 2023 vehicle, and sales will begin around spring of 2022. So if you want one of these, you might want to start contacting your Nissan dealer and finding out when pre-orders will be available or official orders, because you might need to get on that if you want to be one of the first people to get your hands on a new Z. I expect it's probably going to start right around $40,000, however. Now, Nissan could always surprise me by putting the price tag a little bit closer to the outgoing 370Z, which starts just over $30,000, but with all of the extra power on board and the new model, and the fact that the Toyota Supra starts at around $44,000 with a 2-liter turbo, I suspect that the new Z is going to get more expensive than the outgoing model. But again, Nissan has not announced any pricing just yet, so they could always surprise me. It's also worth noting that if you want the 3-liter 6-cylinder engine in your Supra, it's going to cost you an awful lot more than that base model. It's going to start over $51,000. Let me know what you think about all that down there in the comment section below, and of course stay tuned, because I will be driving one just as soon as I can get my hands on one, probably sometime later this year or in early 2022. I'll see all of you later.